Hello friends, today I am here with another video about revival period prose writers. The famous writers during revival period are Sir Thomas Malory, William Caxton, Thomas More and Thomas Eliot. A few more are there that I will discuss later. Those who want to know more about revival period can watch my previous videos and comment your opinion. If you like my videos, like it and subscribe it and click the bell button to get the next notification. So shall we go Thomas Malory. His lifespan is 1415 to 1471. He was a knight and a member of parliament. During revival period, England witnessed Cad Rebellion and War of Roses. Cad Rebellion was a popular revolt in 1415 against the government of England. It was regarding the maladministration, abuse of power of king's closest advisers and local officials. It was Jack Cad who fought and led the rebellion. Next one is War of Roses. It was a series English civil war for the control of throne. It was against the House of Lancaster, represented by red roses, and the House of York, represented by white roses. Thomas Malory was a prisoner of war during the War of Roses, in which he supported both sides at different times. Major works of Thomas Malory was the whole book of King Arthur and his Noble Knight of Round Table. It was retitled as Le Morte d'Arthur. It was first published by William Caxton in 1485. He made it into 21 books of 507 chapters. Le Morte d'Arthur is a complication of tales of romance about King Arthur and his Knight of the Round Table. It is the first major work of prose fiction in English. So it is an important point about this work. It is a storehouse of medieval legends. Malory gave a new personality to some of the most striking characters to be found in Arthurian legends. Malory's style is fresh and lively, and he stands close to the modern English writers. Malory inspired Morris, Swinburne and Shakespeare. Malory inspired Alfred Tennyson, who used it for his Idylls of King. These are the things about Sir Thomas Malory. So I think you understood about Thomas Malory, one of the famous writer during the revival period. Now we are moving on to the one-word questions related to Thomas Malory. The first one is, dash is a collection of Arthurian romance told in simple and vivid prose. The answer is Le Morte d'Arthur. Who was Sir Thomas Malory? This is a book written by Professor Kitteridge. The third question is, the book Le Morte d'Arthur is based on courtly love. Next person is William Caxton. His lifespan is 1420 to 1491. He was the first English printer. So that is the most important point regarding William Caxton. He was a translator and a publisher, exerted an influence on English literature. He was an editor and a publisher who adopted various methods to make the book he printed more attractive and accessible to his audience. Many of the books he published contain his own preface or epilogue explaining the content or the circumstances that he led him to publish them. Caxton's role as a printer marks him as a contributor to the English Renaissance. Caxton's first literary works were his translation of book into English. First translation was the popular medieval romance of Troy, the Recueil of Histories of Troy. It's from French and he made this in the year of 1469. Conrad's Mansion's translation, Fayer's Troy book, was the first book he printed. Caxton printed Chaucer's Canterbury Tale, Malory's Morde de Arthur, The Book of Night in Town.
Go.
So these were the things about William Caxton. Now we are moving on to the next part, that is one word questions. The first one is name the first English printer. That's a simple one. Answer is William Caxton. Second question, William Caxton, who invented the printing press, is basically, he was a merchant. So that is about William Caxton. So now we are moving on to the next point, that is
Go.
Thomas More. Thomas More is one of the prominent writer during the period of revival, whose lifespan is 1478 to 1538. He was an English scholar, lawyer, writer and a member of parliament. He was the chancellor during the reign of Henry VII. His first work was an English translation of Latin biography of Italian humanist Pico della Mirandola. He was beheaded along with Bishop Fisher as he refused to swear to the Act of Succession and the Oath of Supremacy. More's final words on the scaffold were, "The king's good servant, but God's first." This is the famous wordings by Thomas More. More's History of King Richard III is written in Latin and that is the first masterpiece of English historiography. It is an unfinished work, but it influenced the succeeding historians. His most important work is Autopia. Do you know something about Autopia? Utopia is originally written in Latin in the year 1516. The Greek word utopia translated as no place or nowhere, but in modern language it means an ideal place. This book is a work of satire, indirectly criticizing European political corruption and religious hypocrisy. Many aspects of More's description of Utopia are reminiscent of life in monasteries. It is having two books. The characters are More, Gleis and Morton. These fictional characters having a biographical background to actual historical people. Sir Thomas More, author. Peter Gleis, humanist, thinker. Then Hithlodi is another character whom they met when Thomas More travelled to Antwerp as an ambassador for England and King VIII. Hithlodi is a person who talks about Utopia, where he went during his voyages. Along with Hithlodi's description about Utopia, he speaks about the political and religious situation of England. Hithlodi points out that policies of Utopia are clearly superior to those of European. Hithlodi's description of geographical features, historical features, how the founder of Utopia, General Utopus, conquered the isthmus, great utopian society, behavior of Utopia, etc. More concluded that some aspects said by Hithlodi seems absurd. However, he would like to see some aspects of utopian society put into practice in England, though he does not believe any such thing will happen. So this is about Utopia, the famous work of Thomas More. I think now you are very much familiar about Thomas More and his famous work Utopia. Now we are moving on to the next part, that is one word question. I have gotten only one question for that. The first one is, the discourse of Raphael Hithlodi of the best state of Commonwealth is an original name of Utopia. So Utopia is having another name also. That is what? The discourse of Raphael Hithlodi of the best state of Commonwealth. So the other things about the famous prose writers during the revival period, I think you are very much understood about from my videos regarding the revival prose writers. If you like my video, subscribe it and press the bell button to get the next notification. Thank you, and we will be back with another video about English literature. Hope you are understanding my videos. Thank you for watching and subscribing it. Thank you once again. Bye.